The Panthers are looking to close out the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 6 tonight, and Carter Verhaeghe was putting in some overtime today during practice. And can Marchand and Bennett team up and put the Panthers ahead early and close out the series? And will Big Bob be Big Bob and be the wall that he is tonight? And there's big news concerning Game 6 tonight. It was a big update that just came out in the last hour that I'm going to share with you guys in just a moment. Thank you all for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. This is going to be a little bit of a quicker one because there's not a whole lot that has changed between these two teams, including the lineups for the Panthers as well as the lineup for the Oilers, except for one huge, massive update that I will share in just a second. So I'm your host, Greg Andrews. Hit that subscribe button down below because you need to stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your defending Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers, and what is happening tonight. Big Game 6 in Amerant Bank Arena. Will the Panthers close out the Stanley Cup Finals and have back-to-back Stanley Cup championships? Will they learn, or have they learned, I should say, have they learned from last year's 7-game series against the Oilers? And instead of not being able to close it out and having to go to a Game 7 where, like I said the other day, they are better on the road, but I like their chances tonight because we saw a very good turnout at skate around this morning. Nobody really wanted to take the long rest. They wanted to get their legs moving. They wanted to take some easy shots, some skate around. It was Carter Verhaeghe who did most of the work this morning, but we'll get into that in just a second. The big news is that the Edmonton Oilers are going to be starting Skinner in net tonight. That could be very good news for the Florida Panthers, and I will tell you why right now. Even though Pickard had some pretty good games, especially in game number 4, when they put him in net, took out Skinner, but I think the biggest thing that gave them the boost and the reason why they came back and won was because Evander Kane was moved to the 4th line and barely played at all. You guys could take a look at his time on ice. I think it was under 10 minutes. And when they did that, the penalties started to disappear a little more because Evander Kane, I think he had 3 in that first period, and it cost the Oilers dearly. And they moved him, replaced Skinner in the net with Pickard, and they ended up making the comeback. Tonight's going to be a little different. They're putting Skinner back in the net. I think that his ego is too bruised. I think that his mental state right now is not one where he's incredibly positive, even though I know his teammates are telling him, hey man, this is our Game 7. Win or go home. We got to get this one. You're going to do great tonight. They're going to try to boost him up as much as they can, but you know what? Who cares? If the Panthers are able to get him to move laterally, they're going to score every time. If they can get puck on the stick, especially those one-timers, I think they're going to score every time because both of these goaltenders have a big flaw, and that is their lateral movement. And that's why the Panthers have a huge advantage in having Bobrovsky in net. He's done a great job this whole series of moving laterally. Yes, he's given up some big-time goals, but he's still been Bob. His save percentage has been phenomenal. He's really helped his team get to where they are right now. He has been the main focal point of why they have been able to win, and they are up 3-2. Again, like I said, last game, that first period, I know it was Marchand and Bennett that gave us the 2-0 lead, but it was Bob that kept it 2-0. Because if it wasn't for him, what would have ended up happening was I think 2 or 3 times the Oilers probably would have scored. But Skinner's in net. That's good for the Panthers, that I would say, because I think he is mentally not going to be that sharp tonight. I have a feeling he will get pulled, but the Panthers have to keep their foot on the gas. I see Marchand really showing up tonight. I think he wants to close this thing out, and he'll probably try to take over on his own, kind of like he did in game number 5. I think he's going to really light a match under this team and just add in so much energy in that locker room tonight, and that place is going to be nuts. It's going to be loud, and I have a feeling we're going to see some other guys really show up for the Panthers in Barkov. I think we're actually going to see Verhaeghe have a big night because of this. He was on the ice for skate around a little longer than he was supposed to because he threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into some of the Oilers players' routines when they go to their practice. So Carter Verhaeghe stayed on the opposite side of the ice. They're using both sides of their practice facility. They have 2 different rinks, and there's one that's the Panthers home side where they always practice, and then there's the guest side where they have the away teams usually practice, and he was on that away side, and he was still shooting at around 11, and the Oilers were supposed to practice at 11, but because he was out there, they had to wait until 11:30. So he threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into their routine. I don't think it's going to be enough to throw all them off, but hopefully it does. But we'll see what happens again tonight, and I think he is fired up. This whole team is laser focused on trying to close this thing out. I'm not going to get into home versus away like I did yesterday, but the biggest thing here is I see Barkov coming out and having a big game. I see everybody wanting to try to close this thing out tonight, and I know the Oilers are going to be coming at this really aggressively, but the Panthers need to be really solid on their forechecking, and I know Maurice is going to keep switching back and forth between that really aggressive forecheck and then kind of falling back and kind of playing these zone reads, things like that, to make sure that they can stop that Oilers offense, especially shutting down McDavid and Draisaitl. If they can shut down that tandem, I think they're going to be solid. But we have to wait and see. The game is not until 8 p.m. tonight. We are a little under 5 hours away, but it's an exciting time right now. Can the Panthers make history? I think they are the first team in, oh my goodness, I think it's to win back-to-backs. I think it's been like 15 years or something, or 20 years. The first team to win back-to-back Stanley Cup titles in that long, I believe. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I didn't really do the research on that, but it was something I think I recalled. It was about 20 years, 20 plus years that a team has won back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. So as we're moving forward here, guys, the good thing is the Panthers are healthy. Even though Gadjevich was a little bit banged up in the last couple of games, he is ready to go. There are no injuries for the Florida Panthers. I already said Tkachuk says he feels great. He's ready to go tonight. I think the whole team they're focused. They are ready to take on the Edmonton Oilers. I'm looking for a bruising battle. I'm looking for this team to come out quick. Out of the gates, the Panthers, I think, are going to start throwing them at the net real quick. They're going to be aggressive with that forecheck, like I said. They're going to be banging them up against the boards. And I'm going to be looking for a lot of solid puck movement in the offensive zone. I really hope that they take this on early and try to just build up that scoring and not do what they did in game number 4 and take their foot off the gas and start getting too comfortable with a big lead. Do what they just did in the last game. Now, the biggest thing that I wanted to actually throw out there is the Oilers have not had back-to-back losses for a little bit. Well, actually, it just happened. They just had back-to-back losses in this series earlier in this series. So when we look at before that, it was the first round series when they just started the playoffs against the Kings. They lost games 1 and 2. And then after that, the next back-to-back losses that they had was in this series. So I don't know how they're going to respond. Again, will the time on ice be a factor with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl being up there near about 30 minutes per game on average in this series? And the same thing with Evan Bouchard. He has been playing a tremendous amount of minutes. So who knows? Will that really be a big-time factor for the Edmonton Oilers stars? Is that fatigue factor going to start really setting in? I think that they need to be physical. I think we're going to see Ekblad and Bennett throwing their bodies around a little more. We need to see Mikkola get in on that. And I want to see Seth Jones be a little bit more physical. He's been outstanding in the series. Another guy who's been a little bit playing in the shadows. Same thing with Barkov. Same thing with Tkachuk. They've all been kind of quietly having these great games. Again, it's the intangibles that a lot of these guys have on this deep squad of the Panthers, and that is why they are in the position to possibly take home the cup tonight and close out the series. So, skate around. Like I said, very good skate around this morning for the Cats. Just about everybody showed up. I think there was a handful of guys that decided to take the rest and go into the training room and just get their bodies ready for tonight. As we're looking at this right now, guys, well, here's our main graphic for some things that some of the players have to say. We got Big Brad Marchand, the rat. We've just got to think about the process, our structure, the same things we've been doing since the start of the playoffs. It just seems like that's what we've been focused on since the last game finish, and it's not going to change tonight. And same thing for Sam Bennett. Our depth has been huge all playoffs. We're going to need another big depth game tonight. And I can tell you this much. This team, their depth will shine tonight. Even when Gadjevich and that fourth line has to get out there to give some of that first, second, third line, give those guys a little bit of a rest and match up with maybe the fourth line of the Edmonton Oilers. That's going to be interesting for me to see. Are we going to see a bang 'em up, really rough style? Is Gadjevich going to get out there and kind of be like, all right, listen, we're going to need you to get out there and kind of beat up that fourth line? And can they actually get a focus in on maybe scoring a goal? I think they might. I think they can do it. And I think Paul Maurice has a great game plan heading into game number 6 in terms of, all right, like I said, we're going to focus on the forecheck. Sometimes we're going to have to play that zone at times and just kind of see where things are and keep changing it and keeping the Oilers guessing. But again, don't try to change what is working. If their defensive style is working one way or the other, whatever they're going to end up doing in this game tonight, I don't know how they're going to start it off, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Paul Maurice obviously start with that first line, then change it up to the third line and see if Marchand and his line can start throwing the puck at the net and put one in early. But we'll see also, can we see Bennett and Marchand maybe team up and throw something at the net? That would be very interesting to see this evening. And I think the stars for the Panthers really show up in this game. I think Marchand is going to have one hell of a game. And if he does, I think he will be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, unless Bennett has a big game. I think it's going to be one of those two guys is going to be really standing out tonight. I have a feeling it's going to be Marchand because he's just been feeling it this whole series. He's been just this player who's turned back the clock. It is exciting to watch. And obviously, in the future videos, I'm going to go over, what are we looking at in terms of the rumors with Brad Marchand and signing here, signing somewhere else? How much is he asking for? How much can he possibly take? And winning the Conn Smythe will definitely change his percentage of possibly coming here. What are the possibilities? The probability of him staying as a Panther and signing maybe for 2 or 3 years. Who knows? But there are some other rumors that we'll talk about later. Same thing with Sam Bennett. There's some other rumors that I'll get into tomorrow. And I'm also going to be talking about GM Bill Zito tomorrow. Just a little look ahead. But yes, tonight's game, guys, it is going to be an interesting one. And these are just a look back at some of these stats from last game. The Panthers pretty much dominated that game. Blocked shots like they should have. Again, they hopefully will do that tonight, and that will give them the win. They just have to get their bodies in the way. I mean, sacrifice in front of Bob, so that way nothing gets to the net. I think they're going to win if they're able to block the shots, get in the faceoff circle in their offensive zone, and be able to win, throw the puck back to the blue line, or have a set piece where you'll be able to throw it to the net, like get it to Sam Reinhart, get it to Bennett, get it to Marchand, throw it at the net, keep getting Skinner to move laterally, and the puck will find the back of the net. It definitely will. And if they put Pickard in there, you're going to have to shoot high, and it's always going to go in. That's how those pucks have been getting over his shoulder, and I know the Oilers are going to do that to Bob because last game, that's how they got their 2 goals, was shooting over his shoulders. But we'll see what happens. So that was game number 5. Here's game number 4. So we already talked about this one. The biggest outlier here was those block shots, those 28 block shots for the Edmonton Oilers. We have to keep throwing them at the net, but we can't just shoot them from the blue line or from the top of the circles. We have to make sure you're getting those close-up shots. Look for the guy cross ice. I think that's the best call of action that they need to do. If they can take it from behind the net, pass it to somewhere, on that lower side of the circles, and then find someone cross ice. Or if you're able to catch Skinner not looking and being aware of who's behind the net with the puck and kind of fake him out going left or right and then pass that thing out to one of the circles and just throw it at the net, I think they're going to get it, guys. And they just got to be really aggressive on that forecheck, like I said. They got to battle. It's got to battle in every corner. Every time that puck's up against the the boards, they're going to have to battle hard. And you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm starting to feel a little sick. But yeah, guys, an exciting game tonight. This is the one for them all. Can the Panthers win Game 6, learn from their mistakes last year, and close out the series with back-to-back Stanley Cup championships and hoist that trophy and keep Lord Stanley down in South Florida? We'll find out tonight at 8 p.m. I think it's going to be a nail-biter, but again, I think I'm going to call this one pretty close. I think it's going to be a 4-2 win, maybe a 5-3 win. The only reason why I say 2 goals, again, it's going to be an empty netter that I think will put the Panthers up and give them a 2-goal lead at the end of the day. But man, I'm excited, but I'm also nervous. But guys, anyways, I hope you guys all enjoy the game tonight. Again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I'm your host, Greg Andrews, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all you guys who keep coming back and watching these videos. I see I've got about almost 4,000 returning viewers coming back and watching. If there's only 1,200 subscribers right now, somewhere around there, I believe, a lot of you aren't hitting subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. It's free. Please do it. I would appreciate it. And again, thank you all so much for your support. Big game tonight, guys. Enjoy it. Get your beer, get your pizza, get your wings, whatever it is that you like to enjoy for the game, grab it. And guys, all of you Cats fans, wear your red. Shout as much as you can. Scream at your TV. It's going to get loud. And man, they're going to bring it home tonight. Let's close it out, Cats. All right, baby. Here we go. Go Panthers.